All right, so this is a tailor-made presentation for mainly you guys, but anyone else who wants to get the value in order to help them achieve their goals of essentially 10K a month in high ticket sales. Who has heard of the mountain man analogy? No? Okay. So mountain man analogy is really good because it just puts everything you guys are going through into perspective. The ups and downs of sales, the trenches, which will be every step of the way up until 10K a month, okay? And just helping you guys zoom out from a perspective in order to actually achieve that. So I'm gonna tie a lot of everything we talk about today to the mountain man, but don't forget, like, just because maybe I've achieved it, I don't want to glaze myself too much because there's so many more hurdles. And every step of the way, it's a new mountain that you guys are going to climb. Every step of the way, you need a different strategy to hit the next marker. Like for me, I've hit 10K a month, but to get from 10K to 50K, completely different ball game, okay? You need a different set of strategies, different set of inputs, a different set of mindsets in order to actually achieve those goals, okay? So if I put you guys here, okay, for example, Eugene, you just started high ticket sales, you look up at 10K a month, all right, and you don't actually see all the trenches that are here, okay? I can yell down at you as much as I want. It's like, hey, climb up this mountain. It's like, we'll help you get there. However, you're the one who needs to be doing the climbing. And when you are doing the climbing, you'll notice that each trench, you're like just staring at the face of a rock. And it's really hard to zoom out. That's really key because, for example, Brian, you've been through the trenches, right? You know how tough it can be, right? Where you're just grinding, yeah, you just grinding every single day. It doesn't feel like you're making progress, but you're just at the mount face, right? So whenever you guys think about like the struggles, the hardships, know that you're climbing a mountain in order to reach your goals. And if you feel lost, like the valley of despair, which I've talked in separate talks before, just realign yourself with how you're gonna get there, evaluate the path to actually climb up there, and the strategy, which I'll touch on, okay? Cool. Understand the game. So there's like 3 real planes to success in anything you do. In business, we talk a lot about the mental and the spiritual. The reason for that is because when you have all the same systems as everyone else in the world, when you have all the same mentors, all the same information, you have ChatGPT to tell you everything, the bottleneck becomes the operator, the person who's going to action on it, okay? So knowing that, when you're really pushing for a sale, the deal will slip away. This concept is really important, okay? When you're pushing for a sale, you come across as needy, as desperate, okay? Your energy is one of lack rather than abundance. People always talk about abundance mindset, but the reality of it is it shows up in subtle ways. And if we were to talk about like the woo-woo side of things, the universe sees everything, okay? And without going too much into the details of that, it's essentially when you put out the energy of lack, the goal gets further away from you. If you keep saying, I want to hit 10K a month, I'm trying my best in order to do so, that's very different to saying, I'm going to hit 10K a month no matter what. What's the difference there, Brian? Like between the 2 sentences.
What was the question?
So, I want to hit 10K a month, I'm trying my best to hit 10K a month, I really want the goal, versus I'm going to hit 10K a month.
One's like out of like desperation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the other one is knowing that you will get there.
Exactly. When you pedalize? Yeah, when you put your goals up on a pedestal and you idolize it as though you can't actually achieve it, you're trying your best to do so, you actually set yourself further away, okay? Whereas if you align yourself with the goal, you act in the confidence of someone who's already achieved the goals, you will operate in a different sense to actually help you get there faster, okay? So, for example, when you try so hard to sleep that it actually makes it harder to fall asleep, Okay, I'm sure we've all been through this. It's like you're sitting there, you're just thinking, it's like, I need to fucking sleep. I have a big day tomorrow. I need XYZ rest, XYZ hours in order to be at peak performance. But that over-consuming of wanting and needing that sleep actually makes it harder for you to fall asleep. Whereas when you detach, you just pretend you're asleep, right? You just let whatever happens, happens. You're more likely to fall asleep faster. Cool. This is a really good book. It's like very woo-woo. It's quite advanced in like the woo-woo side of things. It's called Reality Transurfing, okay? And the whole idea is there's multiple realities that you can achieve, and it's all out there in the world. They're all happening simultaneously. How can you align yourself with the ones that actually are matched with your goals, okay? The more you pedestalize a goal, the harder it becomes to achieve. That's just a small area of what that book goes through, okay? But it's a really good book. Sorry?
It's a hard read.
It's a hard read. My old mentor recommended it to me. Cool. Become the person, do the actions, have the results, okay? Everyone goes straight to doing the actions and having the results, but in order to become the person, you will operate better, take on better opportunities, and make better decisions in order to do so. Cool. Question you need to ask yourself, there's a question mark here. How would the person in your desired reality operate? Okay. When you set an intention, and I don't want to say goal anymore, when you set an intention that you're going to get there in XYZ time frame, put yourself in that person's shoe and ask yourself, how would that person think? I'm going to relate this back to sales. When you are objection handling someone, okay, and you ask them the question, the version of yourself who's already achieved XYZ goal, what would they do? Because when you put them into that state, they're more likely to align with the actions that are going to get them closer to their goals. Sales is everything. When you do the same for yourself, you're more than likely going to take on the right opportunities, get to your goal faster, okay?
Wait, can you say that again?
Yeah.
If you say the person, what version of them do they want to be?
So, the Grayson, who's at, what's your goal in 6 months?
10K one.
Okay. The Grayson who's making 10K a month, would he seize the opportunities, take them head on, or would he delay?
Yeah, take them head on.
Why would he take them head on?
XYZ.
XYZ, right?
Yeah.
But if you do your own personal diagnosis of that, you can actually align your inputs in the right way in order to actually get there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I see what you mean.
So a very clear example, and I see this, not calling you out, calling you up, Brian, is the idea that there are so many opportunities out there that you might not feel like you're prepared for, but you would never know until you actually just seize it and put yourself in the best place possible to accept it. Okay?
More opportunities.
I.e. closing roles, because you feel like you're not ready, right? But the thing is, if you don't apply, you'll never know. Even when you're not ready, the worst that could happen is they say no, right? But the Brian who's already a closer, who's making 10K a month, he would have applied for that no-brainer. When you take actions in the personality of the Brian who's already there, he's more likely going to achieve his goals faster. Cool. Become the person. I think I went backwards. Your reality is directly shaped by your thoughts, okay? Every thought that you have in the back of your head is subconsciously pushing you towards that single reality, okay? If I had the belief that I was really shit at public speaking, I would be nervous, I would be shaking, my face would go red, I would not be able to articulate myself well. Those thoughts cause the emotions, and those emotions factor into my actions, my reactions, which actually lead me closer to that singular outcome. Because if in my head I thought that I was bad at public speaking, naturally I would be bad at public speaking because it would show up in the way that I speak, right? Your reality is directly shaped by your thoughts. So, audit your thoughts. What do you tell yourself on a day-to-day basis? When you wake up, are you telling yourself positive thoughts or negative thoughts? When you're pushing in the gym, right? Are you hyping yourself up or are you saying that you're weak? When you're trying to cut for a weight loss, are you saying that you are a fit person who is disciplined, or are you saying, fuck, I really crave some fast food right now? Okay? Your reality is directly shaped by your thoughts. So, someone with overwhelming confidence, with underwhelming skills, always beats the person with underwhelming confidence but overwhelming skills, okay? Like the example I said before. The person with lower skill set, and I've seen this in this space before, not to name names, but one of your close mates. When he first started out in sales, he wasn't the most skilled person, but he had amazing authority because he came across with confidence, he came across with energy, with conviction, and he actually closed deals within like the first month he got into sales.
Yeah, I know.
However, if you look at someone who has a lot of skills, but they don't even have the confidence to show up to the calls, to actually present their skill set, they're not getting anywhere. Okay? You can upskill all you want, and I'm not saying neglect it. However, look at your confidence, okay? Work on your confidence and how you show up, and that will actually get you more opportunities and get you better results. Yes.
What do you feel like confidence comes from having skill set?
It definitely attributes. However, your internal beliefs contribute way more to that outcome of more confidence. So having skill sets to back yourself will give you the confidence to perform, and it's a lever that you can pull. However, if you're just only working on your skill set and you're wondering why opportunities aren't coming to you, it's because you don't have the confidence to even apply for them in the first place. Okay?
It's like
I can back that.
internal
Because like when I went from like FES setting into closing, it was like such a big difference. Like you feel like, oh, am I good enough to be a closer from a setter, even from like a really good company? You think like, oh, can I do it? But it's really like the thing that moved the needle for me, that made me like, oh yeah, I can close, was I was just role playing so much that like I genuinely believed that I was a closer at that point. And I was thinking like, oh, if I do 3 to 4 role plays per day, that's the same as closing on a semi-decent offer with 3 to 4 live calls. That means I'm actually a closer already. And even though the prospects aren't real, it still gives you enough confidence in yourself to back yourself when you go into things. Because I've sent like role play mocks to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's fine. Like it showcases a certain level of skills better than nothing. And that's how I got to overcome my fear going from setting to closing.
I don't think I have fear. It's more so like I just don't think, like I just don't have the skill set yet because I
Yeah.
haven't done enough reps.
Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's a fear. It's more so like just don't have the skill set. So it's like
Yeah. I'm gonna say something to challenge that.
hey,
My first ever closing
I'll sit
role, I
back.
only did 3 role plays before I got it.
Yeah.
your first ever closing role.
Yeah, this was like, so I landed the closing role, then I got FES, and obviously I picked FES like over that closing role. The closing role was in US. I did like 3 mocks before I got that. And I think the reason why I did it was like I was just so confident on the interview. I was like, yeah, I can do this. And I was like, yeah, I'll role play with you live. I think that was the first time I ever did it, and it worked, and I got it. So, yeah. That's the challenge. What do you think?
Yeah. Confidence. Because if he didn't have the confidence in his role plays to just send them to recruiters and like job applicants, he wouldn't be in the best position to achieve those roles anyways, to land those roles. So for you subconsciously, like you still see yourself as a setter rather than aligning yourself with a closer. So therefore, you're not putting in the steps in order to get closer to that closing role. Okay, cool. Any more questions on that? Oh, sweet. No, all good. The average looking man who's approaching 100 women will find love faster than the attractive man who speaks to no one. Okay? It's intertwined, right? I know a lot of people speak about sales, mindset, pickup culture. A lot of them have a lot of overlaps. And although I'm not the biggest fan of pickup culture, it's true because he looks at it as a numbers game with confidence that he can go up to 100 women. But the attractive man who doesn't actually reach out to anyone, he's not going to get any opportunities. Same with sales. If you don't speak to 100 leads, you're not going to get any opportunities. You can be the best closer in the world. If you're not in front of 100 leads, you're not going to close anyone. Okay? So, oh fuck. No. Oh, thank you.
Where's the present?
Thank you. Cool. So next time you're in a predicament where you're second guessing, should I apply for this, even though it's something that you want? Am I qualified enough to do so, right? Am I even skilled enough to close this lead? Am I even skilled enough to perform on this role? Think about the ugly guy who's going up to 100 women in the club and he's actually landing the hottest girl there, even though there's way more attractive guys, okay? Just think about that. That's just a way to ground the expectations. Cool. Optimizing workflow. This is really important because I know a lot of people say that they're working really hard, but when you actually look at the inputs, it actually speaks a different language, okay? So a lot of clients that I've spoken to in the past are addicted to low leverage activities for a dopamine hit. So let me expand on this, okay? There are a lot of times where you feel busy, and in the whole hustle culture that we're indoctrinated into, because sales has a big hustle culture, which I'm slowly pushing against. However, that feeling of busyness and the feeling that you're doing something is a dopamine hit that will make you feel good about yourself, even if it's not moving the needle forward towards your goals, i.e., not actually targeting the lowest hanging fruit that will help you go from becoming a setter to a closer, for example, okay? A lot of people will do the things that they're comfortable with, count it as an input, rather than actually doing the hard stuff that will help them become a closer. Why are you smiling, bro?
You made this presentation.
I did not, bro. It's for everyone. Even though you're working harder, you're still stuck in the same position, okay? So, for example, I was stuck in this trap as well. When I was applying for my first closing role, I was doing so many role plays. I was getting very proficient at my script. I was role playing with almost everyone. However, I wasn't actually applying for the roles. And yes, I could become the most skilled person in the world, but no one knows my skill set. Therefore, I wasn't actually going to land anything. I wasn't going to make the money that I wanted. But it felt nice to land that reframe, to finish that closing call, to objection handle someone and overcome it. It's uncomfortable to apply for a role that you don't feel like you're qualified for, okay? Audit what you're doing and understand what is the 80-20 to what will actually get me close to my goal. So the 80-20 rule is a big business concept. I don't know who coined it, but 20% of the work will get you 80% of the results, okay? There is a lever that you can pull that is the 20% of work that will get you more results than trying to perfect a single thing. I never want you guys to go through, for example, an entire script and try to master one single objection handling before you move on to anything else. Go up to 80% proficiency and move on to the next thing. Get that up to 80% proficiency, move on to the next thing. And once everything's at 80%, look at what's the lowest hanging fruit, which can you actually target to get you closer to becoming a better closer, okay? That's really important. That way you don't waste your time pretending to be productive, where you're actually just doing the same thing over and over because it's easier and comfortable than doing the hard ones, okay? If you're doing that, it's no different to being a comfortable prospect. It's no different to saying, I don't have the time to do something. It's no different to saying, I have 3 kids, so therefore I can't actually prioritize my goals, even though that's the reason why they should be doing it, okay? Cool. So moving the needles towards the goal. Set your intention with specificity, okay? Find the 80-20, the inputs that actually drive the results, okay? Once you've done that, once you've reached 80% proficiency, track all your data. Data is super important. In the game of sales and business, data is overlooked way too many times. When you're not tracking something, you can't manage it. If you're not tracking your calories, you can't manage your weight, okay? If you're not tracking your inputs, you don't actually know what's going on. Way too many closers are really emotional about the way that they operate and the way that they jump on sales calls because they have no data to back themselves, okay? They think that their script is going to shit. They think that one prospect is hating on them, so therefore everything about the structure is shit. However, when you actually look back at the data, you can understand what are the levers you can pull in order to see success. And then once you've tracked the data, reevaluate your strategy using your data set and repeat, okay? I have trackers for all of this, okay? So this is just an example, offer acquisition trackers, okay? You can log everything, your daily DMs, your conversations, pipeline followers, personal branding, networking goal, everything can be tracked. If you're improving your closing skill set, your dials, pickups, convos, bookings, everything can be tracked, okay? And then once you actually have a good tracker for that, I can provide it for you guys, or you can create your own on Claude, okay? You guys are pretty proficient in that. Just use a Claude prompt to analyze your data, okay? Of course, like I'm here to do this for you. However, on a day-to-day basis, you can just have Claude read your data, give it the right prompts in order to identify what are the bottlenecks, what can you actually pull in order to get faster results, okay? Feedback loops. Feedback loops are really important. In sales especially, when you're not sharpening the axe, you're actually getting duller, okay? If you're not actually constantly improving, you'll naturally gravitate to certain habits that will make you less proficient as a closer. Even if you think that you're taking calls, and I fell into this trap myself. I was taking calls and I was doing the day in, day out. I was taking on average like 5 to 6 calls a day, and I thought I was getting better, but because I wasn't actually reviewing what I was doing, how I was showing up on the calls, I would naturally have certain word tracks that would stick out in my brain, and I would just always say them on every call, even if it wasn't helping moving the sale forward, okay? Review and track everything. Cool. Thank you.